Hard to just go back to normal when someone was murdered on our campus yesterday.
I think it's emotional for everyone just because, I mean, especially for me, I didn't think this would happen at UCLA. You know, we feel so protected here, and it was just a big shock to all of us that this would even happen.
And it can happen anywhere. Over the last number of years, the number of shootings on college campuses has risen tremendously. This makes many people nervous as the new campus carry law went into effect yesterday. Will our college be less safe? Will every college have to allow guns? Here with the answers, please welcome attorney Michele Byington from the Texas Law Shield and Rania Makarios, who is the executive director of Crime Stoppers Houston. You know, we go back and forth with this whole gun thing, like, you know, guns don't kill, people do. Oh, but if there are lots of guns out there, they're more likely to be used, and back and forth. So first, explain what prompted this idea of having guns on campus.
Well, this has been a long time in the making. We know January 1st, open carry became effective, and the next step was
where you can open it.
Well, and it's not a college campus. So let's start with college campus pass, because what Texas did is Texas looked at Utah. Utah has had campus carry for years, and there has not been one incident. So we used Utah as kind of the laboratory of how to basically pass our legislation and what rules that we should have within that legislation. Now, specifically, campus carry went into effect yesterday, like you said, and what we need to remember is that public schools cannot opt out. University of Houston cannot opt out of campus carry.
People to carry.
Yes. Correct.
Can they control what areas?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. They are not control-less in this instance. So what they can do is they can pinpoint out specific gun-free zones, and if they're going to do that, they're going to have to post a proper sign, the proper 30-06 sign, in order to keep us out with our lawfully carried handguns.
Yeah, okay. So we know that yesterday was the anniversary of the UT Tower shooting.
Yes.
And, you know, oftentimes people say, well, if someone had a gun, that could have stopped him. And I think same with all the other different mass shootings, if someone had a gun, they could have stopped them.
It's such a complicated question because certainly, you know, you think of the Orlando nightclub shooting and how many times he stopped and reloaded, and certainly if somebody had a weapon in that nightclub, they could have easily taken him out in between. But the college campus is, you know, and I'm not for it or against it, I'm just posing the questions. It's such a different environment, and you're dealing with youth that are so emotionally charged.
And just because you can get a license for a gun doesn't mean you probably should.
Yeah, we're mature enough to have one. You know, and it's just things that you have to be thinking about. You know, relationships and drinking and so many other things come to play in the college campus. And where do you store it? And is it locked properly? Is it left in your dorm room?
Like there are certain areas of campus where you're not allowed to have it. Like, where do you stop off and have a little locker?
And then they said some professors now will do virtual office hours because they're afraid to be in their office alone with a student who has a weapon. So if you want to talk to your professor, you Skype them. You know, so we don't know what's going to happen, but it's raised a lot of interesting discussions.
Yeah. All right. So what are there issues that you see coming up with this?
No, I think this is going to be a non-issue. There has been some backlash from professors, but I think it's all emotionally charged, and it's not really looked at in a logical, reasonable sense. Because let's look at the facts. There are 43,000 students that attend University of Houston. How many of those students are 21 and above? Let's remember, you've got to be 21 years old in order to get a license to carry a handgun. So that shrinks the demographic of individuals who are even able to lawfully carry a handgun. And these individuals who go to get their license go through the background check. They go get training. These are the people you want carrying guns.
Yeah, you have to go through the process. And
exactly.
I think, and the thing that sometimes we forget is that if you want to do something illegally, you can get a gun and do that anyway.
Yes. Do it.
Yeah.
Right. Either way.
All right. Yeah, and it always depends on what the outcome is, because there are several cases we look at and say, if someone just had a gun, and then there are other cases we look at and say, gosh, I wish this person didn't have a gun.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so I think this is one of those things that it's just we have to wait and see.
Yeah, and what we have to remember is it's not like we're going to have 18-year-old frat daddies running across campus, you know, with their handguns, you know, not lawfully anyway. So that's what you got to remember is these are the people you want. You with your Pearl beer and Dr. Pepper in your handgun. Yeah.
My logger. That was a logger.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, we posted more information on the campus carry law on our site, greatdayhouston.com.